So earlier this morning, there was a hearing held by the Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by Senator Imee Marcos, on a resolution inquiring in aid of legislation into the effectivity of the investment promotion agencies and its corresponding incentive regimes in generating revenues, creating jobs, and providing business opportunities for the people. Mr. President, dear colleagues, I think everyone knows that Committee Report number 50 is CITIRA, which is on the floor. So I'd just like to pose my question to the body and ask that if a subject matter is already taken up on the floor, have we changed our rules? Are we allowed to have another committee conduct a hearing on exactly the same subject matter in another hearing without even informing the chair, even on a personal level?
The intention was very simple, and it was a hearing not only for CITIRA. It so happened that CITIRA was part of what the different members and sectors of the business community are now calling the triple whammy of the Philippine economy. And these are COVID-19, the abrogation of the VFA, and the potential removal of the Philippines under the GSP. And thirdly, their concern and anxiety that on top of all of this, the CITIRA would also be passed in the form that the House has. Unfortunately, the Committee on Economic Affairs has such a wide range of topics under it, given that all items that have anything to do with those that are economic are covered. So I do not want to show any disrespect or overlap or duplication. I simply need to hear from certain quarters who are clearly going to suffer cumulative losses in the export and manufacturing sectors, as well as the BPO and other sectors po.
Mr. President, unfortunately, there's no explicit ruling. All our rules in terms of committees holding hearings on particular topics referred to their committee. However, of due courtesy, we have it as a interparliamentary courtesy among our members and respect. We usually do not do any more overlapping so that there's no double discussion of a particular topic.
With all due respect, this had to do with investment policy, and as a result, we also had to tackle the CITIRA on the sidelines. I think something of the same nature is occurring with POGO. Tatlo na yung investigasyon sa POGO, sabay-sabay po. Yung sa ating women, pagkatapos sa committee ni Senator Gordon na Blue Ribbon, ganun din sa labor. Hindi ko tinatakal as tax, kundi yung impact sa export po at saka sa BPO. And it's also cumulative dahil itong triple whammy na tinatawag, hindi lamang yung CITIRA, which is actually speculative in nature, but a measure instead of those that are already impacting us today, such as COVID-19, as well as the VFA abrogation po.
Just to clarify, in the hearing that Senator Marcos conducted, and she may confirm this, specific provisions of the CITIRA bill were taken up, including the creation of the FIRB, including the footloose industries. So these were the sunset provision. This is very specific to the CITIRA bill that is on the floor. For the record, and I would also be very happy to hear the confirmation or clarification by the senator who chairs the Committee on Economic Affairs, one of the speakers was no less than the Director General of PEZA, who is known to have been very vocal about her opposition, and who has at some point said that she now support, but I guess she changed her mind. So she is the person who was given the platform to speak there. I don't mind, dear colleagues, you can speak to any resource person, you can invite them to your office, but to have them in a hearing on a matter that is pending on the floor is a slightly different thing, and that is why I would like to have a healthy discussion on this matter, because it's a little bit difficult when I'm chairing a difficult subject matter and there are parallel going on with resource person who have attended my hearing and have already given their official statements, and I'm not aware that they have changed their positions on it.
If the transcript is derived, we spent an extremely large chunk of the hearing dedicated to the COVID virus effects as well as the VFA. The CITIRA aspects were only brought in by many of our exporters at the very end of the hearing, and a very short period was dedicated to that. Having said that, Mr. President, I will ask our exporters to keep their complaints about specific provisions in the CITIRA out of the hearing, and instead focus on those threats that already confront them at present, such as the COVID-19 as well as the VFA abrogation.
If you read the resolution, Mr. President, if you read the resolution in its face, it is referring to the economic impacts of these particular measures. Now, if you ask our colleagues at the Bills and Index, as well as members of the Committee on Rules who review this for us, that is the proper committee to be referred to as primary committee. Now, Mr. President, we cannot avoid these things happening because of the broad responsibilities of many of our committees.
May I first begin by apologizing to the chairwoman of Ways and Means. Unfortunately, as the former chairman of Economic Affairs knows, the scope of economic affairs is so wide that even in our rules, the definitions and delineations of jurisdiction are unclear. So that what I shall do, if this arises once again in the future, the CITIRA, may I simply turn over whatever positions there are to the Ways and Means chairwoman, being that they're already in the floor. In the meantime, in the spirit of Women's Day, which was yesterday, I hope that she accepts my personal apology and the failure to apprise her, at least personally, of what could occur during this hearing.
Accept the apology. However, I have difficulty understanding the explanation that the committee covers a wide range of topics, because if you look at the resolution, there are 5 whereas clauses. The 3 whereas clauses are the background, the citing of the Constitution, what are the IPAs, and what are the jobs of the IPAs, and the last 2 resolutions are very specific on the effect of CITIRA. So, if you are a resource person and you will receive this, obviously the topic is CITIRA. That is all I'm saying. How do you move forward if this is the resolution? How do you say that in the next hearing, and there is one scheduled on Saturday, you will carve out, you will exclude the concerns on CITIRA? The whole resolution is about CITIRA, dear colleagues. What do you want me to do? It's all about CITIRA, you know. So, and to be specific, and that's why I was very clear in saying I was not in the hearing. I had another hearing with our chairperson, Sherwin Gatchalian. Very specifically, our colleague asked the question to the PEZA Director General, what is their feelings about CITIRA, and then after that, she even made the comment that, so hindi pala totoo ang chismis na okay na kayo. So in response to the statements of the leadership that it is very possible to come out with different reports, of course it's very possible. I already told you, I know that the PESA Director General was against CITIRA, and then she was on board, and then she was somehow again. So are we just going to have continuous hearings giving heard the floor and the others, and then the same question was asked the other resource persons there. Okay ba kayo? Ang DOF, tinanong din, okay ba kayo dito sa sunset provision? So bakit ako nag-aksaya ng panahon ko kung may iba palang mag-hearing? I can very well focus on something else. Mr. President, I am happy to do so. I just do not want to waste my time and this body's time. I would like a clear resolution on this matter. This will happen again and again if this is not clarified very specifically on CITIRA.
On a lighter note, maybe we can appeal to Mother Dear, si Mamshi, Mamshi, the mama bear of the Senate, to mediate between the two ladies since
Mr. President.
She's seated right beside the both of them.
Mr.
No, no, lighter
President.
note, on a lighter note.
Wait.
Mr. President.
Senator Cayetano is recognized.
I'd like to put on record that I appreciate every effort that a lot of you have done to use the words of the majority floor leader to mediate. But it's not a matter of mediation. It's a matter of clarifying the jurisdiction. Senator Marcos approached me. She apologized. I said it. I accepted. But the jurisdictional issue remains. She wants to continue to have her hearing on the other related topics. But like I already said, and you may all get a copy of the resolution if you want, the three whereas clauses are the background of the Constitution and what the IPAs are all about. The last two and the now therefore clause is about investigating in aid of legislation what is the effect of the incentive scheme on them. That is the very essence of my committee report, my dear colleagues.
Mr. President.
Na alam nyo namang inaral ko, so if one of you and any of you would like to interpolate and make those statements of support or opposition, that is your prerogative. But if I have another committee hearing it and the chairperson herself will stay, do you still have the heart to inflict CITIRA on these poor exporters? Why do you have a chairperson on Committee on Ways and Means defending this on the floor if you will have another chairperson hearing the same matter? So that's it. I sound exasperated because I am. I'd like to move on with work, but I cannot unless this jurisdictional issue is resolved. Doesn't have to be now, but please don't try to mediate. Resolve the jurisdictional issue.
Para sa akin, no need naman for mediation kasi ako nag-apologize talaga kung minsan nakakaproblema talaga sa jurisdiction at napakalabo kasi at napakalawak ng aking committee ng economic affairs at minsan talaga napakarami rin mga committee na nasasagasaan, yung agriculture, nabubundol dyan yung energy, kasi planning and development, na kung tutuusin, sakop lahat. Ang ending kasalanan na ni Mig Subiri as the majority leader na dapat yung rules titignan muna, babalagkasin muna at titignan lahat ng mga bills kasi nga madalas nangyayari na 3 or 4 committees are really involved. So kailangan tignan kung alin ang priority, ang primary committee. I hope so. She's my seatmate at NP naman po yan. Ako, wala naman na akong galit. At kung minsan nagkakamali tayo, wala tayong magawa, magpapaumanhin tayo.